As Astor stepped into the examination hall, the atmosphere was already tense with ambition and pride. At that moment, a man named Bigger Smite called out to him, drawing attention to Astor's calm and confident presence. He pointed out that Astor seemed unfamiliar, someone he had never seen before, and assumed he must have come from some insignificant town. In his view, this place was not meant for outsiders like him. Bigger emphasized that the hall was filled with the finest among gentlemen, the true elite, all gathered for the prestigious selection exam to become a knight of the kingdom. In response, Astor remained completely composed and made it clear that this was exactly where he belonged. Hearing this, Bigger was taken aback, but his surprise quickly turned into irritation. He went on to explain that everyone present had endured strict and exhausting training. Yet despite that, they continued to chase the dream of walking the glorious path of the elite by taking this exam again and again. He mocked Astor further, pointing out the small sword hanging at his side and implying that someone like him, who looked like an inexperienced beginner, had no place here. Bigger dismissed him as nothing more than a sightseer and made it clear that he should leave and return home instead of standing among serious contenders. Meanwhile, others nearby reacted with quiet familiarity, noting that this kind of behavior was nothing new from Smite, who had built a reputation for bullying newcomers every year without fail. As the murmurs continued, two individuals shifted their attention toward Astor. They found his presence more intriguing than the confrontation itself, recognizing that the person being targeted might not be ordinary after all. According to the rumors they had heard, he could possibly be the one known as Elmheim. They recognized him as Astor of the Seven Wings, a name that immediately stirred tension in the air. Bigger, confused, fixated on the title, repeating the words, "Seven Wings," in disbelief, as he tried to process what it meant. At that moment, someone approached from behind, realizing who Astor was and expressing surprise at finally identifying him. The newcomer turned out to be Gurion, who greeted Astor with a sly smile, acknowledging that it had been a long time since they had last met. Since no one knew when or where Astor had been born, Gurion had taken the liberty of calling him cousin. Astor responded by remarking on the unfortunate fate of Dariz. Gurion, however, dismissed the matter without concern, considering Dariz a disgrace who deserved his death. Instead of sorrow, Gurion felt a sense of relief now that Dariz was gone. He admitted that Dariz had been a nuisance to him as well. Continuing, Gurion reflected on how Dariz, despite being only 1 year older, had always been bossy and overbearing. He then warned Astor not to underestimate the people of the main house, regardless of whether the title of Seven Wings was real or not. In this place, Gurion made it clear that there was no one left to protect Astor. With another sly smile, Gurion left the scene. After hearing Gurion's words, Bigger's friends began discussing the situation among themselves. They noted that there were 2 people from Elmheim among the examinees, concluding that this year's participants had extremely rotten luck. They observed that the conflict between the main house and the branch house was still ongoing and tense. None of them wanted to get dragged into such dangerous affairs. Realizing that Astor was from Elmheim, Bigger grew nervous, hesitating and stuttering. He tried to confirm Astor's identity, gradually coming to the conclusion that Astor must indeed be that Elmheim. In response, Astor simply smiled and extended his hand, introducing himself in a calm and modest manner. Asking to be called just Astor, the scene then transitioned smoothly to the first exam venue, where the atmosphere shifted into one of intensity and anticipation. At the top of the venue stood Astor, loudly addressing the gathered candidates. He praised them for making it this far and expressed gratitude for their courage and patriotism. Astor went on to emphasize that the Kingdom Knights of Fletroon were not like the provincial knights scattered across the countryside. They served the king directly, protected the king, and stood as glorious swords willing to risk their lives in his name. Because of this, there was no place for dull or blunt swords among them. The candidates were urged to demonstrate their true worth to the fullest and to treat the day's exam as a battlefield. Hearing this, Astor smirked, though sweat formed on his face. He internally acknowledged that Astor's words sounded ridiculous, yet he could not ignore the significance of the moment. He realized that he had finally made it back to this place, the path to becoming a Kingdom Knight, a path that had once been denied to him when he had been wingless. Beyond this point lay a world of strength that had once been completely out of his reach. At the very top of that world stood a single figure, the man who still ruled at its apex, the Kingdom Knight General Commander, Roderick A. Elmheim. With determination burning inside him, Astor resolved that he would catch up to Roderick in no time. However, he knew that to achieve that goal, he first had to pass this selection exam. Astor's voice rang out across the venue with commanding force as he declared that it was time to begin. Without hesitation, he announced the start of the first exam, revealing it to be the trial of the Arrow Tower. The moment the words settled, the atmosphere shifted violently. Out of nowhere, arrows came flying in from unseen directions. They struck the examinees with brutal precision. One fighter was hit directly in the eye, collapsing instantly to the ground. The suddenness and cruelty of the attack sent shockwaves through the crowd. Astor stood there, visibly startled as he witnessed the horrifying scene unfold before him. Unfazed by the chaos, Astor continued his announcement, declaring that the last one standing among them would be the winner. His words carried no hesitation, reinforcing the deadly nature of the trial. Almost immediately, thousands of arrows began raining down from all directions. The sky itself seemed to turn hostile as the relentless barrage struck the participants. Many were hit instantly and killed on the spot, their bodies dropping one after another. Panic spread like wildfire. The remaining examinees began running in fear. Their composure shattered as survival instincts took over. Amid the chaos, desperate voices rose. Some shouted in confusion, questioning what they were supposed to do in such an overwhelming situation. Others screamed for everyone to run, warning that staying in one place would mean certain death. A few attempted to organize, urging others to group up, watch each other's backs, and block the incoming arrows together. Watching this unfold from above, Astor observed calmly. He noted that, as expected, the veterans from previous exams already understood how to react. Their movements showed experience and coordination. However, even with such efforts, the survival rate remained only around 30%. He recognized that these countermeasures were superficial at best and would soon reach their limits. What truly mattered, what he wanted to witness, was overwhelming problem-solving ability, the kind that only those possessing a wing emblem could achieve. In the midst of the chaos, Astor stood completely still. He did not run, nor did he attempt to defend himself immediately. He appeared frozen, silent, and unmoving, as arrows tore through the battlefield around him. Seeing this, Bigger grew frustrated and confused. From his perspective, Astor looked like a fool standing in place. He wondered why Astor was not moving at all and questioned whether he had fainted from fear. Not far away, Gurion watched with a smirk. In his mind, Astor's stillness was nothing more than weakness. He mockingly thought that Astor might as well die there, turning into a helpless pincushion under the rain of arrows. Then in a sudden shift, Astor moved. With precise intent, he drew his blade. A red aura surged out from within him, radiating power and intensity. In the very next instant, his body reacted with flawless speed and control. Every arrow that came toward him was deflected effortlessly. The sight stunned everyone. Those who managed to witness it could hardly believe their eyes. A faint smirk appeared on his face. Confidence replaced the earlier stillness. Instead of retreating or merely defending, he embraced the challenge. With complete dominance over the situation, he signaled his intent clearly. He welcomed the onslaught, ready to face every arrow that came his way.